We are back for Thursday's two-game slate. Boston and Philly, Denver and Phoenix, both series 3-2. I'm honestly hoping both these games can go game 7. Just more playoff basketball would be greatly appreciated by myself. Welcome, guys. My name is DK, and we'll be talking about the two-game DFS slate in this video. Also cover content for Prize Picks and No House Advantage. No House Advantage, they're the sponsor of today's video. If you guys are not on No House Advantage, you can use the code DKDFS for a 100% match up to $100. It'll be linked down below. But if you're not familiar, again, it's a player prop site where you're building out slips with player props. You can build anywhere from 2 to 6 players in your player prop slips. And you can win up to 21x your money. A happy hour, you can win more than that, which they do have happy hour on Friday, FYI. But yeah, if you guys want to give it a try, use that code for that match. And it would be my recommendation. Take advantage of all the free money that you can. And if you guys are looking for more in-depth content, you can always check my Patreon link down below. Had a really good night overall on DFS and for Prize Picks. So that is also linked in the description. So let's recap tonight. Again, DFS was a good night. And it would have been a much bigger night had I gone Schroeder over Lonnie Walker, which was something I was debating on up until the end. Ended up going Lonnie Walker. Wasn't the right move. It was the Schroeder game, but still a really good night overall. Brunson and Mitchell Robinson are the two guys that play from the early games. I do want to know, though, is how on earth did the Quentin Grimes slappies know that he would, play the entire game and that Josh Hart getting random massive foul trouble again? That was extremely, extremely tilting. But yeah, I went to Brunson and Mitchell Robinson in the early game, and then kind of stacked up the late game, was really high on the Warriors. I mean, everyone was. But yeah, I slammed Wiggins, Draymond, Steph, and Gary Payton. Ran it back with Reeves. And then, again, my last minute decision was I could have gone either Lonnie or Schroeder. If I wanted Schroeder, I could have just put Draymond here and was debating on it. But I ended up going Lonnie Walker. Was not the right move. Cost me about another $300, but still was a very profitable day for me on DFS. So that was nice. And then for Prize Picks, went 3-2 with a push, so was slightly profitable over there. And reverse swept Meek Mill. Meek Mill tweeted out a Prize Pick slip. I said, that's not hidden. That's reversing, actually. Reversed him. So I can now put on my resume that I reverse swept Richard Jefferson and I reverse swept Meek Mill. And then, seriously, but this is the best part of my job, right? John in the Discord ran a massive W, took down the $200 tournament, winning $7,500, finished in fourth in the big $100, winning $1,500. So huge day overall. Best part of my job. Love to see that. All right, so let's talk about this two-game slate. We'll start off with Boston and Philadelphia. So Boston, I was shocked. I think everyone was. I thought, no way is Boston losing that game. And they got blown out by Philadelphia. Now down 3-2, must-win game on the road. To be honest, I still think the Celtics have a decent chance to win this series. Like, if they win this game, I think they're winning the series. So this one will be a great game to watch, and it's the early one. Tatum, Brown, I think, honestly, assuming both stay out of foul trouble, we're going to get mid-40s minutes from both. I think Tatum will play like 45 minutes. I think Brown will play like 42, 43 minutes. So must-win game, sub 10K for Tatum. He looks great at the top. Sub 8K Jaylen Brown also looks really, really good. Again, it's do or die time for the Celtics. And I'm leaning on the two stars here in Tatum and Brown. I think they're both really good plays. The issue is you got stars in the late game that also look really good. You got Jokic, who's just been out of his, it's hard to get away from Jokic. You got KD and Booker in a must-win game. So you got to make some really, really tough calls on a slate like this. I think it's going to set up that stars and scrubs build, which is going to make the mid-range, I think, a bit lower owned. But I still like the Boston mid-range guys because they're running a very tight rotation. Al Horford shot 0 of 7 last game. I don't think we can expect that again. Most of the time, he's going to play over 30 minutes if he can stay out of foul trouble. So I think he's a pretty good play. Of these guards, Smart, Brogdon, and White, you guys know what I'm going to say here, right? If I'm going to pick one in tournaments, it's always going to be the guy that I think is going to be the lower-owned option. However, I will say I think Smart is the safest bet. I think he's going to play mid-30s minutes, assuming no foul trouble. But Brogdon, White, whoever plays better between the two most likely will close, because the closing lineup almost guaranteed will be Tatum, Brown, Smart, Horford, and then one of Brogdon or White. That's most likely going to be the closing lineup. So I like Brogdon at 5-2. I like White at 4.9. Again, kind of everyone struggled for Boston last game outside of Tatum, so I don't put too much weight into what happened last game, but the Boston mid-range guards, I think, look pretty good. And then value, I mean, what on earth has happened to Rob Williams? He even closed over Al Horford because Horford played so bad. 19 minutes. Like, if you told the field that Robert Williams played 19 minutes last game, he would have been shocked. 19 minutes, 6 fantasy points. How did the faders know? I went back to Rob Williams again, got 19 minutes, and got punished again. It's just like, this guy's over a fantasy point per minute guy. How is that possible? He's going for 0.3 fantasy points per minute last game. I just don't understand how that's humanly possible. I don't. Once again, I'm going to mention I like him in tournaments, but I mean, he's been awful. Hey, I've said that the last couple slates. I said it with Ayton 2 slates ago. No one wanted DeAndre Ayton. It's Jock Landale, right? What happened? Ayton smashed. Jock Landale, massive bust. How about Jordan Poole today? No one wanted him, right? He had a solid game, nothing crazy. I think he finished like 20-ish fancy points, but again, don't overreact to a couple of games. Like, people put way too much emphasis. Recency bias is the thing. I don't care what anyone says. It plays way more of a factor in the playoffs. So even though Rob Williams has been awful last couple games, I still have interest in him for tournaments. Will I play him again? I don't know. I'm a crazy person, so maybe. But I definitely still have some interest in him for tournaments. And Grant Williams is 3.2. His minutes have ticked down. Really tough to get to him. You did see a little bit of Peyton Pritchard before the game blew out. I would be shocked if he plays again. I think it's just because Boston just was really struggling. But yeah, that's it for Boston. Moving on to Philly. So Embiid sub 10K, Harden sub 8s. I mean, all the stars look good in the slate. Like I said, you got to make some. It's a really tough slate to pick between these stars. Embiid sub 10K, should play about 40 minutes. He looks really good. Harden 8-7. He's been up and down, but the ceiling's been very high on him. So definitely have interest in Harden. The mid-range options with Maxey and Harris. Maxey had a massive game last game. I would say a bit of an outlier, but that is the type of performance he can do. Like, if Maxey's really playing well, he does have that ceiling. Tobias Harris got massive foul trouble, still went for 30-plus fantasy points. So the mid-range guys I think are decent plays. Wouldn't call either a priority, though. DeAnthony Melton's 4-2. He's been quiet last couple games, except for the game where, I don't know, he was way overowned and went for like 5 steals and a block, put me on full tilt mode. But 4.2K, you need value on the slate. He's got nice eligibility. He's definitely in consideration. No one, and I mean no one, enjoys playing PJ Tucker, but he's sub 4K and probably plays high 20s to low 30s minutes. Niang was once again in the rotation, played 12 minutes, went for a donut, but he's 3.1. And then you did see a little bit of Daniel House last game, played 15 minutes. No confidence in him again. I would say last game definitely an outlier, but he's 3.3. And then Paul Reed will play whatever Joel Embiid does not play, but kind of tough for me to get to him. I think Embiid probably plays low 40s minutes if the game stays close. And then Denver and Phoenix. I mean, I think Jokic is once again going to be massive chalk, as I think he should be. I mean, this guy is literally doing everything, and I mean everything for the team. I think he's going to be, 60, 70% in high stakes. So Jokic looks phenomenal, but so do basically all the stars on this slate, which is why I think it makes for a really interesting slate in tournaments and why ownership is going to play a big factor in what I do tomorrow. But yeah, Jokic, I honestly think Jokic will be the highest on spend up. I'd be pretty surprised if there's another spend up that comes in at more ownership than Jokic. So love Jokic, even at the price point. Jamal Murray, I think, will be a bit under-owned for a couple reasons, right? Number one, Jokic, in my opinion, will still be chalk. And number two, with all the other spend ups looking really good in the slate, and with Jokic being chalk, people are not going to want to play Jokic and Murray together. So I think for that reason, Jamal Murray will be a bit under-owned. But I like him quite a bit for tournaments. This is still a guy that can go for 50 to 60 fantasy points when he's really cooking. So definitely still have interest in Murray. I think he'll be a bit under-owned. Michael Porter Jr., you know what I'm going to say, right? He's been smashing. I can't even talk. He's been smashing the last 3 games. Not when I played him at low ownership. No way. 13 fantasy points. You better believe I'm going to continue to bring that up just to prove that no one runs worse than me. No one. Ayton was like 50% on that slate. Gordon was like 50%, and I was the only one that played the Michael Porter Jr. Got benched. No one runs worse, and it's guaranteed, locked in. No one runs worse than me. But yeah, I do like the ceiling in Michael Porter Jr. He's been playing extremely well, and he's rebounding the ball at a nice rate as well. Aaron Gordon, 5'9", I think is more of your tournament contrarian play, but a little bit quiet in this series. I don't think many people play him. If people are going to go to someone on Denver in the mid-range, they're going to go to Michael Porter Jr. So I think your argument for Aaron Gordon on this slate would be ownership purposes. He's going to be low owned. And then you got Bruce Brown and KCP. I played Bruce Brown the last few slates, back-to-back bust, finally faded last game. How about a 35 bomb? Put it on board, right? You bet. But when I play, away. 15 fantasy points. Bust, right? Finally fade, ceiling game. Anyone need more proof? Need more proof? Let me know. Got the notepad. I got proof, right? It's been all season. We're just jotting down more proof. No one runs worse than me. But yeah, with Bruce Brown and KCP, I think both are pretty solid values. KCP in a competitive game should play 30s minutes. If he's knocking down his shots, you can have a ceiling game. He went for 2 blocks and a steal last game. So both the Denver guards I think look pretty solid. Once again, though, I think Bruce Brown will probably be a bit higher owned. Also, he has a small forward eligibility. And it's really hard for me to get to either Jeff Green or Christian Brown. But, I mean, Jeff Green's 3-3. Put him in the same category of these Suns wings, which we're about to talk about. Put him in the same category as, like, I don't know, Tucker and Yang and just, like, the gross value that if you're playing 3 stars, you're going to have to consider guys like that. And Christian Brown did play 20 minutes last game. Again, zero confidence, but he's 3.1K. And then finally, the Phoenix Suns. I mean, assuming no Chris Paul once again, assuming no foul trouble, I think we'd probably get 45 minutes from Booker and Durant. I think the floor is a bit lower on Booker. I think the ceiling's a bit higher on Durant. Maybe right now the ceiling, though, I think is higher on Booker when he's really getting it going. So obviously, I like both Suns stars in a must-win game. But I've said the same thing about all the stars in this slate, which, again, makes it really tough. DeAndre Ayton's 5'7", we talked about it, right? No one played him last slate. He was like 5% owned in my tournament, and Jock Landale is 50+%. And we talked about how I loved Ayton as a leverage spot because no one was going to play him, and we knew everyone was going to play Jokic Landale. That's what everyone did, and no one played Ayton. And Landale was a massive bust, and Ayton was a massive smash. Not saying it's going to happen again. I don't think the ownership gap's going to be that wide, especially because Ayton had a decent game last game, and we know recency bias plays a factor. Don't care what anyone else says. So Ayton at 5'7", I think is a good tournament play. Again, what is going to be the chalk build tomorrow? It's going to be a stars and scrubs build. So a lot of the mid-range guys not going to get a ton of ownership, I don't think. But Ayton is a guy that he stays out of foul trouble, should play mid-30s minutes. The rest of the Suns team, I have no idea what's going to happen. And I've said that the last couple slates, and I'm going to continue to say that because they're going to go with the hot hand. Campaign 4-7, 30, 25, 31 minutes over the last 3 games. Fine tournament play. Don't think he'll be popular. Landry Shamet, sub 4K. 25, 30, 23 minutes. Probably the most confident with his minutes of these just punt plays for Phoenix just because he's solid defensively and is giving Jamal Murray a tough time. So I guess he's the guy I'm the most confident in of these punt plays for Phoenix, Jock Landale. If you think Ayton continues to get in massive foul trouble, then fire up some Landale. Once again, I think he'll be popular because he's not a bad fantasy point per minute guy. And if Ayton does get in foul trouble, he could smash. And then you got Warren, who's been pretty popular the last couple slates. Hasn't done a ton, but been averaging, high teens minutes. Terrence Ross, if he's playing well, they can extend him. He played 20 minutes last game, was knocking down some shots. He's in play for GPPs. Okogie only played 8 minutes last game, but previous to that played 17. I mean, for a majority of the regular season, he was starting and playing a ton. He was starting in the Clippers series for a bit. So, Phoenix is going to go with whoever's playing the best of these cheap guys. And I have no idea who it's going to be. So once again, all these guys in play for tournaments probably won't want to play the chalk of these guys. If I had to guess who's going to be the most popular of these Suns value plays, I would say it's probably going to be Shamet because of the minutes. But that's the breakdown for Phoenix. Again, it's a really fun tournament slate. I'll say that because all the stars look good. The 2 Boston stars look great. The 2 Philly stars look good. The 2 Denver stars look good. The 2 Phoenix stars look good. And then value is just who knows, right? So really, really fun slate for the GPP player. But yeah, that'll wrap it up for the video, guys. As always, I really do appreciate the support. If you do enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We hit over 17K subscribers, by the way. Crazy to think about. So thanks again, and we'll see you all in the next video.